Happy you could join us once again. We are with Greg Engert, beer director for the Neighborhood Restaurant Group of Food and Wine Sommelier of the Year. The group includes where we are, Church Key, downstairs Birch and Barley and DuPont Circle. You've got Iron Gate and the Red Apron Burger Bar. Greg, it is always good to see you.
You too, Brennan.
What do we have on tap this week? Something sort of a first and a second for Beer of the Week.
But when leaving Hop Slam out.
Right, yes, we have done Hop Slam.
We are revisiting a beer from Founders Brewing Company out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and also out of Spain at this point. We can talk about that in a moment. It's called Doom. And I wanted to bring this back because this is the first time in 4 years they've released this beer. And last time, in 2013, we actually did review it. It's always fun to kind of return to a beer, see how it's maybe changed over time. I have a feeling this one hasn't too much. But also just to think about it in terms of what's out there today. This is a 12.4% Imperial IPA aged in bourbon barrels for 4 months, which is great. But I have to say, it's a style. Bourbon barrel aging hoppy beer is something that was definitely going on a little bit years ago, more so than it is now. So I figured I should taste it, talk about it, and see where we stand.
It's inviting. Oh, that's real nice. Seems like just the right temperature, too.
Yeah, it is.
Not
perfect.
Too frosty.
Right around 50 degrees. Not too bitter, not too boozy, really aromatic, smooth
nice
on the palate.
finish. Yeah.
But it definitely has some kick at 12.4%. So the beer itself, just like back in 2013, is a double IPA they used to make called Double Trouble that's been aged for 4 months in bourbon barrels. And they use the bourbon barrels that Founders gets, no surprise, are in incredible shape. They take amazing care of those barrels. And so when they load the beer into the barrel, just as they do for KBS and others, these barrels are juicy with bourbon. And so this beer actually climbs from 9.4% to 12.4% during that maturation process. I mentioned Double Trouble, delicious beer I know you enjoyed. They actually stopped making that beer last year in 2016. They also stopped making Devil Dancer, which was a triple IPA that they were making. So it's cool that Double Trouble does survive in this form. Back in 2013, you could get it both ways, and now this is the only vestige of it.
So that's the base beer.
That's the base beer, correct? Yep.
Is the base beer.
Yeah, they've continued on with that. And you know, another thing that's very cool, the hop character in this, Amarillo for orangey citrus, Simcoe for pine, Chinook for mostly for bitterness, kind of tobacco characteristics, and then Mosaic is in there for huge dank but also tropical fruit flavors. I believe that once they bring it out of barrel, they add another dry hopping to it to kind of recharge it and give it some more freshness, because after 4 months, any hop aroma would have dwindled.
It's been 4 years since we did, as you mentioned, the last release. That's a long time between releases, and I forgot its color, but with a name like Doom, you expect it to come out just space black, but very nice, lovely, golden.
Oh, beautiful beer. And this year too, in addition to draft at only a few places, you'll see the standard 750 format that they've been using, but also 12 ounce. So they've released it now. In 13, they only had the large format. So a beer like this, I tend to like it in smaller portions, so the 12 ounce is a really cool thing. One last reason why I wanted to talk about this beer is that in the interim, between 13 and 17, Founders underwent a pretty major change on the business side, and that's Mahou San Miguel from Spain purchased 30% of Founders back in 2014. Just an interesting thing. It's allowed them to expand both their footprint of where they're selling beer. Founders is available in continental Europe in spades now, but also to expand the brewery. I think they're over 400,000 barrels now last year, and they have the capacity to get up over 1 million, and that is definitely their goal.
And you like 30%, so they're still running the show.
Yeah, the beers are clearly really. And the other thing that's happening, it's very, very funny, is that Founders, the beer quality has remained, of course, the same. They're not going to change that. They've got a great thing going, but they've increased the amounts of specialty beers that are available. Now, some beer geeks, of course, probably are moving on because they only like things that are rare, and scarce. But if you love Founders beers, you can find this now, and you can find a good amount of it. And that bodes well for KBS, Kentucky Breakfast Stout. And it so happens that in the fall, we have Canadian Breakfast Stout coming back out from Founders, their most heralded and sought after beer. And I hear that they're going to be releasing that at the same volumes that they release KBS. In the past, it's been nearly impossible to find. So good things come, I think. If you like Founders beers, you're going to be able to get a lot more of them.
Yeah, I mean, then there's going to be a lot of people who didn't catch this the first time around.
Right,
so
and now can, exactly.
What would you pair it with?
So a beer like this is big, it's bold, it's something that is frankly amazing with the cheeses of all kinds. Aged cheddars, aged Goudas, Gruyères, Comté, Swiss Emmentaler, blue cheese that's got a little richness to it. Is awesome, like Cabrales from Spain, but also anything fatty that's meat-based, bacon, ham, barbecue, and southern food, thinking of like bourbon, goes great with cornbread. Fresh cornbread's fantastic. And then I also like this with chocolate desserts of all kinds. Really, really tasty.
I got to learn not to come here hungry. It's not good. Greg, thank you as always.
Thank you.
Everyone, please always do drink responsibly and be sure to bring your thirst next time for another Beer of the Week.